Hello friends, a very warm welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about Aequs Limited, which is a company mainly into aerospace. So this sector has been into the limelight in the last few months because there is a long runway of growth in this sector. The size of opportunity is huge. Before we move forward, if you're new to our channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon to get updates of all the new videos that we upload. Here is a small disclaimer. As per SEBI regulations, you can pause the video and read it. We'll discuss the video in three parts. In the first part, we'll talk about the business of the company. In the second part, we'll speak about the financials. And in the last part, we'll talk about the valuations of the stock. Aequs Limited broadly has two business segments. The first one is their main business segment, which is the aerospace business. And the second one is the consumer business. A large chunk of the revenue, nearly 80% plus, comes from the aerospace business, which is a profitable business and a matured business and still growing at 20-30% every year. Remaining 15-20% of the business comes from the consumer business, which is a comparatively newer business right now in the ramp up stage. So it is still not a profitable business because the utilization levels in these manufacturing capacities are low. Aerospace, as you know, is a high entry barrier business which requires a lot of expertise in terms of manufacturing, many approvals and long-term relationships with their customers because there is no scope of error in these products. So in aerospace, the company manufactures aerostructure components, aero-engine components, then landing gear components, various other products, and they have reputed customers like Boeing, Airbus, Safran, etc. In the consumer business, the company is doing several products. For example, they are doing components for consumer electronics. Let's say there's a mobile phone getting manufactured. One of those components this company manufactures. Then they are doing some kitchenware products, toys, etc. So there's a toy brand called Mattel with which this company has a long-term manufacturing agreement. In this segment also, the main area of interest for me is the consumer electronics business because that has a big size of opportunity and a long runway for growth. Now in terms of business model, this company has a very well vertically integrated business model. They do several processes in-house or with their partner companies. So right from engineering and design, they do raw material forging, precision machining, surface heat treatment, making sub-assemblies and assemblies. All these processes either in-house or with their partner companies. Now one unique thing about this company is the way they have evolved. Normally what happens, a company sets up a machine shop, they keep buying more and more machines and they keep manufacturing more and more products for new customers. But this company has operated or evolved itself in a very different way. Right from day one, they have tried to build an ecosystem in and around their premises. They have operated not as a standalone entity. They have developed SEZs and clusters of aerospace and consumer businesses. So several years they spent in building this ecosystem. Now they are scaling up their business, partnering with different companies and also attracting different customers so that they get all the manufacturing facilities in the vicinity of a few meters. So this is how they have developed the SEZ zones. Along with the parent company, which is Aequs, you'll also find other joint ventures, associate companies and partner companies within the same SEZ zone. This makes this company very unique compared to other aerospace manufacturers. What happens in such a model is if you are developing a particular product from scratch, there are several steps involved in the manufacturing as we just discussed. All those steps happen within the vicinity of that particular area itself. The product doesn't require transporting to far away distances, saving a lot of time, cost and energy. So this model makes this company attractive compared to the others in the eyes of their customers. So like this, they have developed several SEZs and also different clusters for their products. This company was started in 2000 by a couple of technocrats, industry veterans, Arvind Meligeri and Mr. Rajiv Kaul, who have more than 25 years of experience in aerospace manufacturing. And this company was the first to establish a aerospace SEZ in India. Now as an organization structure, there are several subsidiaries, joint ventures, etc. under these companies group structure. They have 3 wholly owned subsidiaries. Now very soon, these 3 subsidiaries are going to get merged in the parent company to simplify the organization structure. They have a couple of international subsidiaries in US and France. Then they have joint ventures with other companies having complementary businesses. And their most recent joint venture is into defense sector for manufacturing unmanned aerial vehicles, or in simple words, drones. So if you look at their manufacturing facilities or footprint, they have 3 manufacturing clusters in India, all the 3 coincidentally in Karnataka. And overseas, they have 2 facilities, one in France and the other one is in US. In terms of the total manufacturing capacity, they have 2.22 million square feet of manufacturing capacity and 4.7 million hours of machining and forging capacity. 434 CNC machines and 179 molding machines. Right now, their consumer business is operating at around 23% utilization. Going forward, by the end of FY27, the company aims to increase this utilization level to 40 to 50%. Aerospace contributes about 85% of the revenue in FY26 and the consumer business about 15%. So this is a broad understanding of their business. Now, when we talk about the industry, as you know, the aerospace industry has immense size of opportunity. The global commercial aircraft backlogs exceed 17,000 aircraft. So there is a long visibility of growth in this industry. Airbus and Boeing together have visibility of production of the next 10 to 12 years right now. The global aerospace component manufacturing industry has a size of about 400 billion plus. And specifically India, if you see, it is growing faster than the global average at around 12 to 15% CAGR. So there is no question about the size of opportunity or the growth rate in this industry. Coming to the global electronics manufacturing industry, this size also exceeds $2 trillion. And compared to China, people are moving their electronics manufacturing, toys manufacturing gradually to India as an additional manufacturing destination. And in cookware also, Indian manufacturing companies are taking the lead now. Talking about the competition, the size of the opportunity in these industries is so huge that all the manufacturers in India will get their share of pie. In the listed space, the other companies operating in the aerospace sector are Dynamatic Technologies, Azad Engineering, Unimec Aerospace, etc. In unlisted, there is Tata Advanced Systems and others. In the electronics manufacturing, there is Dixon, Sirma, Amber, Avalon and several other companies. So there will be competition at each and every component or product level, but the size of opportunity is such that everybody will get their share of business. Now, what is the competitive edge or moat of this company? The first and the foremost is the SEC or the cluster model in this company. For getting approvals from these customers in the aerospace segment takes 5 to 10 years. So they already have such approvals, which is not possible for a newcomer to take. Operating at this scale, having these size of manufacturing capacities, having this cluster within their vicinity is not easy to replicate for another company. And in the consumer manufacturing business also, they are slowly developing relationships with several multinational companies. Now, what are the growth plans of this company going forward? They will continue to grow their aerospace business. That will grow at 25 to 30% consistently for the next few years. They have recently entered into a joint venture for manufacturing unmanned aerial vehicles, which is by itself a big opportunity in India. They will look at expanding their present aerospace cluster at Belgavi. They are setting up a new aerospace engine component manufacturing cluster in Tamil Nadu now. In their consumer business, their prime focus will be to increase the utilization levels from 23% to 40 to 50%. They are still loss making in this segment. They will look at doing break even at least EBITDA level by Q4 FY27. All this will be possible if they keep adding new products and they keep adding new customers in the consumer business. Now, overall, you can expect this company to grow at around 40 to 50% in FY27. And if you look at their 5-year vision, which they recently discussed on their investor day, they can grow their revenue by 4 to 6 times from FY26 level in the next 5 years. They are looking at achieving EBITDA margin of 18 to 22% at the company level in the next 5 years. Then ROC about 20%. They will continue to invest in capex, and their estimated capex expenditure is about $350 to $450 million in the next 5 years. So the growth plans are huge, but it is critical to see how well they will execute these plans. So when you talk about the risk, for me, execution is the biggest risk in this business. Consumer business is still a loss-making business. How well they will turn around that business and make it profitable, we will have to watch. There is high customer concentration in the aerospace business, but that is a normal phenomenon in this big business because there are limited OEMs. Every sector, every business is a cyclical business. They are investing such huge amounts in the capex. It shouldn't happen that the cycle should turn and the sector comes into a down cycle. That is a very big risk. Managing working capital well is a risk because their inventory levels are very high. Then at the current valuations, from an investor point of view, valuation is a risk. And since they have several related parties, joint ventures, Indian subsidiaries, foreign subsidiaries, we will have to closely look at the related party transactions in FY26 annual report. Before we move forward, if you're not a part of our Telegram channel, do join today by clicking the link in the description so that you join the original correct Telegram channel. Every day before the market opens, I share my market commentary and several interesting news and views so that you can manage your portfolios better. More than 10,000 people are daily in touch with me on my Telegram channel. It's a free channel, but join only using the link in the description. Coming to the financials, there is a steady growth in revenue, although not very impressive in the last 4-5 years because it is still in the investment stage in the consumer business. Revenue went up from 800 crores to about 1200 crores in the last 4 years. EBITDA has been very volatile because the one segment is doing well, but the other segment is still in the ramp-up phase. So that keeps impacting the EBITDA of the company. A similar trend you will see in the margins. The margins have still not stabilized, or they have still not moving in that direction of that 20% level. At the PAT level, the company is still making losses, so return ratios are not relevant as of now. We'll have to see in FY26. Promoter holding is still decent at 59%, but this company is not generating positive cash flows in the last few years. So they are continuously raising funds either through equity or debt to invest in the growth of the company. Debt to equity ratio right now is about 0.47, which is under control. Inventory levels are pretty high. We'll have to see how they manage this more efficiently going forward. Right now, the debtors are looking okay, but we will look at the debtors aging schedule in FY26 annual report. We will also keep an eye on the cash flows going forward, although the company is in the growth stage. It's a closely held company. If you look at the number of shareholders as on 31st March 2026, it's only 40,000. Now coming to the chart and the valuations part, the IPO came at 124 rupees. Right now the stock is trading at 236. The people who invested in the IPO made decent money. Right now the stock is in a strong uptrend in the last few weeks move. Valuation wise, it is trading at 13x market cap to sale on a trailing 12 months basis. I am not looking at the current EV EBITDA multiple or the current PAT multiple because both are not normalized. It is operating at a loss at the PAT level, so price to earning is not relevant for this stock. EV EBITDA will be a more relevant metric, but that too, I will not look at the FY26 EV EBITDA. If I take an optimistic scenario and assume 250 crore EBITDA for FY27, so 1 year forward, the stock trades at a EV EBITDA multiple of 64x at a market cap of around 16,000 crores. Which to me valuation wise is expensive. So for somebody who is already invested in the stock, who has made really good money in the last few weeks or months, if you have a 5-year vision of holding this company, do continue to hold because there are a lot of new developments happening in the business. But if you are investing from a 1 or 2 years perspective, do protect your profits by putting a trailing stop loss. For a fresh entry at these valuations, this is not a value buying opportunity and you should definitely wait for a correction before entering this stock. But do remember that these kind of companies which have a huge size of opportunity and a lot of capex being done, the promoters have a longer vision of 5-10 years. So if you have that kind of a patience and persistence to buy and hold these companies for 5-10 years without looking at the quarterly numbers, only then you should choose to invest in such companies because they involve a lot of execution risk. So that's an approach which you should follow in these kind of companies, but that too when you get it during a correction. So that's about Aequs. I hope you like the crisp analysis. If you like it, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you want me to make videos on your favorite stocks, do mention the names in the comment section. Do join our Telegram channel by clicking the link in the description. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.